I woke to the chill of empty sheets, my hand reaching instinctively for the warmth that had cradled me through the night. The space beside me was cool, as if she had slipped away hours ago, leaving only the faint scent of lavender and oil paint lingering like a half-remembered dream. My heart stuttered, a sharp intake of breath catching in my throat, because Willow was gone, and in her place on the pillow sat a single sketch, her pencil lines capturing my sleeping face with a tenderness that made my chest ache. That sketch. It was not just lines on paper. It was her eyes staring back at me, seeing the fractures I hid behind tailored suits and courtroom bravado. I sat up slowly, the city's hum filtering through the loft window, horns blaring like distant accusations. New York never slept. But I had. Deeply. For the first time in years. Wrapped in the unexpected arms of a woman I had met only yesterday. Willow. Her name rolled through my mind like a secret I was not ready to keep. I traced the curve of my own jaw in her drawing, the way she had shaded the worry lines around my eyes with such care. It felt like an invitation and a goodbye all at once. Downstairs in the kitchen, my coffee maker gurgled to life. But I ignored it, pulling on a robe instead, the silk whispering against my skin like her touch had hours before. The gallery opening. That was where it started. I had gone alone, fleeing the sterile echo of my Manhattan apartment after another late night drafting briefs for faceless clients. Divorce papers still fresh in my drawer, the ink barely dry from signing away a decade of what I thought was love. The gallery was in Soho. All exposed brick and track lighting, the air thick with murmurs and the clink of wine glasses. I wandered, glass in hand, pretending to care about abstract swirls of color that meant nothing to me. Then I saw her. Willow stood before her own canvas, a storm of blues and greens that pulled at something deep inside, like the ocean calling to a girl who had forgotten how to swim. She was laughing with a cluster of artists, her auburn hair catching the light, falling in waves that begged to be touched. Our eyes met across the room, and it was not polite interest. It was collision. She excused herself, weaving through the crowd with the grace of someone who belonged to the chaos. "Hi," she said, her voice low and warm, like honey over gravel. "I like the way you look at art. Like you're trying to solve it." I blinked, caught off guard, my lawyer's tongue-tied for once. "Maybe I am," I replied. And just like that, we were talking. About the painting. Yes. But then about everything. How she had moved from a small town in Oregon to chase colors in the city that chewed up dreamers. How I had built a life in high-rises and depositions, only to wake up one day wondering if I had ever truly lived. Hours blurred. The gallery emptied. But we lingered on the fire escape, the city sprawling below us like a glittering trap. She shared a cigarette, though I had quit years ago, and the smoke curled between us, softening the edges. "You carry too much," she said, her fingers brushing my arm, sending sparks I had long buried. "Tell me one thing you're not fighting for." I hesitated, the weight of my ex-husband's indifference pressing in, the custody battles I avoided by working late. "Freedom," I whispered finally. And she smiled, a slow bloom that lit the night. We ended up back at my place, the cab ride a haze of stolen glances and knees touching. In the loft, with its minimalist furniture and walls lined with law books, she moved like she owned the space. She kicked off her boots, bare feet padding across the hardwood, and pulled me into a dance with no music, her hands on my waist guiding me in lazy circles. Laughter bubbled up, unexpected, and then her lips found mine. Soft at first, then urgent, like she had been starving too. Clothes fell away in whispers of fabric, her skin warm against mine, freckles dusting her shoulders like stars I wanted to map. We tumbled to the bed, her body arching under my touch, breaths mingling in the dim light from the street lamp outside. It was not rushed. It was revelation. Her fingers traced the scars of my past, the faint stretch marks from a pregnancy that never came to term, and she kissed them as if they were poetry. "Everly," she murmured against my neck. You are enough. And in that moment, tangled in sheets and her certainty, I believed her. Sleep came easy after. Her head on my chest, the rhythm of her breathing lulling me under. But now, morning light slanted across the empty bed, and the sketch mocked me from the pillow. I stood, legs unsteady, and crossed to the window, pressing my palm to the cool glass. The city pulsed on, indifferent. Where had she gone? Back to her cramped studio in Brooklyn. Perhaps. Or vanished into the anonymity of subways and crowds. I should let her go, I told myself, folding the sketch carefully, tucking it into my robe pocket like a talisman. One night. That was all it was meant to be. Yet my fingers itched for my phone, scrolling through contacts that offered no answers. No number exchanged in the heat of the moment. Just her name, Willow Hayes, whispered like a prayer. I sighed, a long exhale that fogged the glass, and poured coffee finally, black and bitter. The first sip burned, grounding me. Work waited. Depositions and deadlines. The armor I wore so well. But as I dressed, slipping into slacks and a blouse, the fabric felt foreign against my skin, still humming with her memory. The elevator ride down was silent, the doorman nodding as if nothing had shifted. Outside, the November air bit sharp, carrying the scent of pretzels and exhaust. I hailed a cab to the office in Midtown, the skyline a familiar cage. But my mind wandered back to her laugh, the way it echoed in the gallery, pulling me from my solitude. By the time I reached my desk, stacks of files looming, I was already drafting excuses to search for her. A quick Google. Nothing. Willow Hayes. Artist. Too common. Too vast. Lunch came and went. A salad picked at mechanically in the firm cafeteria. Colleagues droning about billable hours. I nodded. Smiled. But inside, a restlessness stirred. Like the first crack in a dam. After. In the quiet of the ladies' room, I pulled out the sketch again, unfolding it under the fluorescent hum. There I was. Not the polished Everly Thompson, Esquire, but the woman beneath. Eyes soft in sleep. Lips parted as if dreaming of more. She had seen me. Truly seen. The afternoon dragged. A mediation call where I advocated for a client whose world was unraveling. Words sharp as knives. But my focus splintered. Drifting to Willow's hands. Paint-stained and sure. When the clock struck 5, I bolted. Coat over arm. Weaving through the throng of suits spilling onto the sidewalk. The gallery. It was a start. The cab dropped me there as dusk fell. The brick facade glowing under streetlights. Inside, the space was hushed. Canvases waiting for tomorrow's crowd. The owner, a wiry man with glasses perched low, looked up from his ledger. Willow? He scratched his chin. Yeah. She had a piece up last night. Sold it. Actually. To some collector. But she mentioned heading west soon. California. I think. Family thing. West. The word hung. Vast and pulling. I thanked him. Stepping back into the chill. The city lights blurring through unshed tears. California. Where dreams washed up on shores. Or drowned. I walked. Blocks melting away. Until I found myself at the East River. The water dark and restless. Leaning on the railing, I pulled out my phone again. Typing her name into social media this time. Profiles flickered. None quite right. One caught my eye. A feed of ocean views and half-finished paintings. Tagged Willow Hayes. Portland-born. NYC bound. Now chasing sunsets. The last post, a photo of the city skyline at dawn. Captioned. Sometimes you leave to find what you almost had. My breath hitched. It was her. And in the comments? A friend, safe travels back to the coast. Will. Mom's waiting. Mom. The pieces clicked. A quiet devastation settling. She had mentioned it in passing. The pull of family. An illness she glossed over with a joke about stubborn roots. I had not pressed. Too wrapped in my own thorns. Now. Regret bloomed. Sharp and unrelenting. I pocketed the phone. The river mirroring the turmoil inside. Waves lapping like unanswered questions. Back home. The loft felt cavernous. Echoes of our laughter mocking the silence. I poured wine. Red and heavy. Sinking into the couch with the sketch in lap. Sipping slowly. I let the memories flood. Her stories of Oregon rains. Painting in an attic studio while thunder rolled. My confessions. Halting. About the marriage that withered. The child I lost at 20 weeks. The emptiness that followed. She had listened. Not with pity. But with a fierce empathy. Her hand squeezing mine. You're still here. She said. That's the miracle. Tears came then. Hot and unbidden. Soaking the paper until her lines blurred. I cried for the woman I might have been. For the connection that slipped through fingers. Sleep evaded. The clock ticking past midnight. Each minute a reminder of what I let walk away. But in the depths of that night. A resolve hardened. I could not chase ghosts. But perhaps I could follow the light she left behind. Morning brought resolve. Coffee stronger. Steps surer. At the office. I cleared my calendar. Citing personal leave. The partners nodding with vague concern. By noon. I was booking a flight to San Francisco. The cheapest red-eye. Heart pounding with a mix of fear and fire. Willow haze. I would find her. Not to claim. But to say what morning stole. Thank you. And goodbye. If that was her wish. The airport was a blur of announcements and harried travelers. My carry-on light. Unburdened for once. Boarding pass in hand. I settled into the window seat. The plane shuddering to life. As we climbed. New York shrinking below. I pressed the sketch to the glass. Whispering her name like a vow. The clouds parted. Revealing endless blue. And for the first time in years. I felt the pull of possibility. Not perfection. Breathless. Yes. But alive. The descent into San Francisco was a jolt. The city unfolding like a crumpled love letter. Hills rolling under fog-kissed bridges. I rented a car at the airport. A nondescript sedan that hummed to life under my unsteady hands. GPS set for the address I had pieced together from her online breadcrumbs. Willow's family home in a coastal town south of the city. Half Moon Bay. Where the Pacific crashed against cliffs like unresolved arguments. The drive wound through eucalyptus groves. The air sharp with salt and pine. A far cry from the concrete pulse of Manhattan. My phone buzzed sporadically. Texts from colleagues checking in. But I silenced it. Focusing on the road. The white lines blurring with exhaustion. Jet lag tugged. But adrenaline kept me sharp. Memories replaying like a film on loop. That night in the loft. Her body yielding under mine. The way she gasped my name. Not in passion alone. But in wonder. As if I were the art she sought to capture. I gripped the wheel tighter. Knuckles widening. What if she had moved on? The encounter a fleeting sketch in her vast portfolio? Half Moon Bay greeted me with gray skies and crashing waves. The main street lined with cafes and surf shops. Locals bundled against the chill. I parked outside a weathered Victorian. Its paint peeling like old regrets. The sign reading Hayes Art Supply in faded script. Her mother's place. I hoped. The online trail leading here. Heart hammering. I stepped out. Wind whipping my coat. And pushed open the door. A bell tinkling softly. Inside. Shelves groaned under jars of pigments and brushes. The air thick with turpentine and possibility. A woman looked up from the counter. Mid-50s perhaps. With Willow's green eyes and a smile that crinkled like well-loved paper. Can I help you? She asked. Wiping hands on an apron stained with indigo. I swallowed. Words sticking. Am looking for Willow. Willow Hayes. A friend from New York. The woman's face softened. A flicker of recognition. Or maybe just maternal instinct. Everly? Willow mentioned you. Said you were the one who made her see the city in colors she forgot. Mentioned me. The words landed like grace. Unsteadying me. I nodded. Throat tight. Is she here? The woman, Clara, gestured to the back room. She's out on the beach. Sketching. Been out there since dawn. Go on. Shall be glad. Relief flooded. Mingled with nerves. As I thanked her and stepped through a side door to the path leading down to the shore. The beach stretched wild. Dunes dotted with ice plant. The ocean a relentless roar. And there she was. Silhouette against the surf. Easel braced against the wind. Her hair tied back with a scarf. Figure swallowed by an oversized sweater. She moved with purpose. Charcoal flying over paper. Lost in creation. I approached slowly. Sand crunching under boots. The cold seeping through. Willow. My voice carried. Tentative. Swallowed by the waves. She froze. Turning slowly. Eyes widening in shock. Then softening to something unreadable. Everly. You came. 3 words. Simple. But they unraveled me. I stopped a few feet away. Hands shoved in pockets to hide their tremble. I had to. The sketch. It was you. Seeing me. I couldn't let it end like that. She set down her charcoal. Wiping hands on jeans. The distance between us charged. Electric. I didn't want to wake you. You looked so peaceful. And I had to get back. Mom. The cancer came back. I needed to be here. Cancer. The word hung. Heavy as the fog rolling in. I stepped closer. The urge to touch warring with respect. I'm sorry. Why didn't you say? She shrugged. A small lift of shoulders that carried worlds. You had your own battles. I didn't want to burden. But last night. It was real. You were real. The wind picked up. Tugging at us. And she shivered. Come inside. She said. Gathering her things. And I followed. The path back a silent procession. In the supply room. Clara had tea brewing. Mugs steaming on the counter. She poured. Excusing herself to the front with a knowing glance. We sat at a scarred wooden table. The steam curling like unspoken confessions. Tell me about her. I said finally. Meaning the illness. But also everything. Willow sipped. Eyes distant. Diagnosed 5 years ago. Remission. Then this. She's fighting. Like always. Painting helps her. Me too. I came out here after college. Chasing big breaks. But roots pull hard. You? What dragged you across the country? I laughed. A soft sound edged with truth. You did. That. And the realization that I've been running from feeling for so long. The divorce gutted me. Lost the baby. Lost him. Lost myself in work. You. You made me remember what it feels like to be wanted. Not fixed. Just wanted. Her hand reached across. Fingers lacing with mine. Warm and sure. I want you. Everly. But this. It's messy. Mom needs me. And you have your life back east. I squeezed. Holding on. Messy is okay. I took leave. Stayed a week. Let me help. Or just be here. She searched my face. Then nodded. A tear tracing her cheek. Okay. The week unfolded like a canvas slowly filled. Days blending sea and sky. Mornings. We walked the beach. Her sketching while I read case files on my laptop. The juxtaposition absurd yet fitting. Afternoons in the shop. Sorting supplies. Our hands brushing over jars of ochre and sienna. Conversations deepening. She spoke of her art. The fear of never making it. The joy in creation despite. I shared court war stories. The thrill of victory masking the loneliness. Evenings. Clara joined us for dinners of clam chowder and sourdough. Her stories of raising Willow alone after a bad marriage painting a portrait of resilience. Laughter filled the Victorian. Chasing shadows. And in the quiet hours, Willow and I stole moments on the widow's walk. Stars pricking the velvet night. Her head on my shoulder. Kisses came slow. Exploratory. Tasting of salt and promise. One night. Under a blanket against the chill. Her body pressed to mine. We made love with the ocean as witness. Movements tender. Unhurried. Each touch a vow to savor. But cracks appeared. Subtle at first. A call from the firm. Pressing for my return. Deadlines looming like storm clouds. Willow's sketches grew darker. Strokes heavier. Mirroring the chemo sessions Clara endured. I drove them to appointments in the city. Waiting rooms a sterile limbo where I held Willow's hand. Her nails digging in during the waits. You don't have to stay. She whispered once. Eyes red-rimmed. This isn't your fight. It is now. I replied. Kissing her knuckles. Though doubt gnawed. Was it pity? Or something truer? The week waned. My flight looming. And tension simmered. Words unspoken thickening the air. One afternoon. After a particularly grueling treatment. Clara napping upstairs. Willow pulled me to the beach. Her face stormy. Everly. This. Us. It's beautiful. But you're a bird in a cage here. Go back. Live your life. I stopped. Sand shifting under feet. Anger flaring hot. My life? It's been half-lived without this. Without you. She turned to the waves. Arms wrapped tight. I'm scared. Of needing you. Of losing you to the distance. The city. Your world. The argument spilled. Voices rising over the crash. Accusations laced with fear. You left without a word. Again. I shouted. Hurt raw. Because I protect what's mine. Even from myself. She yelled back. Tears streaming. But I'm not yours to protect. Not yet. Silence fell. Broken only by the surf. Our breaths ragged. I reached for her. Pulling close. Foreheads touching as sobs shook us. I'm sorry. We murmured together. The words a bridge. In that embrace. Forgiveness bloomed. Fragile but fierce. We walked back. Hands linked. The fight a scar that deepened the bond. The night before my flight. We drove north to a secluded cove. Moonlight silvering the water. Picnic spread on a blanket. Wine shared from the bottle. We talked to futures. Not promises. But possibilities. If I extend my leave. If you come east for a show. If we try. Her eyes gleamed. Hopeful. I'd like that. Very much. Dawn broke as we packed. The airport drive a quiet ache. At security. I held her. Memorizing the curve of her neck. The scent of her skin. Call me when you land. She said. Voice thick. Every day. I will. I promised. Kissing her long and deep. The line of travelers fading. Boarding. I glanced back. Her figure small but unwavering. Waving until I turned the corner. The flight east was turbulent. Mirroring the soul. But landing in New York. The skyline welcomed like an old friend. Home. But changed. At the loft. I unpacked. The sketch now framed on the nightstand. A sentinel. Work resumed. Briefs and meetings. But evenings were for calls. Willow's voice a lifeline across miles. Sharing days. Dreams. The small victories of Clara's treatments. Weeks turned to months. A rhythm emerging. I flew west when I could. She east for gallery scouts. Our love grew roots. Tentative. Through video screens and handwritten letters. Her sketches arriving in envelopes. capturing moments we'd shared. One depicted us on the beach. Hands entwined. Waves at our feet. Captioned. Our messy beautiful. But life tested. As it does. A big case demanded my all. Nights blurring into dawn. Calls missed. Willow's updates grew strained. Clara's health fluctuating. Her own show in San Francisco flopping. Critics harsh. Distance whispered doubts. Late-night texts laced with hesitation. Are we fooling ourselves? She wrote once. After a cancelled visit. I called immediately. Voice steady. No. We're building. Brick by brick. Still. The strain pulled. A slow unraveling. Then. The call came. Mid-February. Rain lashing my windows. Everly. Mum. She's gone. Willow's voice broke. Asobiscaping. And my world tilted. I'm coming. Now. I booked the first flight. Heart leaden. The plane a vessel through grief's fog. Landing in the Bay Area. The funeral was a blur of black dresses and condolences. Clara's service on the cliffs. Her ashes scattered to the wind. Willow stood stoic. But in the hotel room after. She shattered. Curling into me. Cries muffled against my chest. I held her through the night. Rocking gently. Words inadequate but presence enough. In the days that followed. We sorted the house. Paintings and memories unpacked. Her grief a tide I navigated beside. One evening. Amid boxes. She found Clara's old sketchbook. Pages filled with young Willow. Fierce and free. Look. She said. Tracing a line. Mom saw me always. Like I see you. Tears fell. But with them. Healing. A quiet acceptance. We made love that night. Slow and sacred. Bodies a language of loss and love. Spring arrived tentative. Cherry blossoms tentative in Golden Gate Park. Where Willow and I wandered. Her hand in mine. The city's pulse a bomb. I had extended my leave indefinitely. Subletting the loft. The firm accommodating with reluctant grace. New York felt distant. A chapter closed. Though pangs came in quiet moments. The hum of subways echoing in dreams. Here. In the Bay. Life reshaped. Willow's art surging. Canvases born of sorrow transformed to light. We moved into the Victorian. The supply shop thriving under her touch. Customers drawn to her warmth and works. Mornings. I brewed coffee strong. Black. While she sketched at the kitchen table. Sunlight slanting through lace curtains. I took a part-time gig at a local firm. Family law mostly. Cases that tugged at my history but allowed space for us. Afternoons. We hiked coastal trails. The Pacific a constant companion. Its roar drowning doubts. Yet integration was not seamless. Willow's friends. An eclectic tribe of artists and surfers. Welcomed me with easy camaraderie. Bonfires on the beach where stories flowed with beer and guitars. But I felt the outsider at times. My East Coast edges sharp against their laid-back flow. One night. Over tacos at a hole in the wall. A painter named Jax ribbed me gently. So. Everly. You traded skyscrapers for seashells? Brave or crazy? Both. I laughed. But later. Alone with Willow. Vulnerability surfaced. Do I fit here? I asked. Tracing her collarbone in bed. She pulled me close. Lips brushing my temple. You fit me. That's enough. Her certainty anchored. But my past lingered. Emails from old colleagues stirring ambition. The pull of bigger cases. Brighter lights. Clara's absence echoed too. In the empty chair at dinners. The unsaid advice in garden blooms she once tended. Willow mourned in waves. Some days vibrant. Painting feverishly. Others withdrawn. Staring at the horizon. I learned her rhythms. Offering space or solace as needed. Our intimacy deepening in the quiet. Sex became exploration. Her body a landscape I mapped with reverence. Discovering freckles anew. The curve of her hip that drew sighs from us both. Summer swelled. Heat shimmering off the pavement. And Willow's big break came. An invitation to a group show in Los Angeles. Her Storm series selected. We drove south. The Pacific Highway a ribbon of blue. Windows down. Music blasting indie folk that spoke to our souls. LA buzzed. Palm trees swaying like promises. The gallery in Venice Beach a hive of hip and hustle. Opening night. She shone. Dress flowing like water. Mingling with gallerists who praised her depth. I watched from the sidelines. Pride swelling. But a whisper of envy too. For her unfiltered passion against my structured world. Later. In our hotel room overlooking the boardwalk. Champagne fizzing. She turned to me. Eyes alight. This is because of you. You gave me courage. I shook my head. Pulling her onto the balcony. No. You were always this. I just held the mirror. We danced under stars. City lights twinkling. Her laughter free. And in the king bed. Lovemaking urgent. Celebrating her triumph. Bodies slick and synced. But dawn brought reality. A call from New York. The firm offering partnership. A siren song of prestige and paycheck. I let it go to voicemail. But the seed planted. Unease sprouting. Back in Half Moon Bay. Routine resumed. But the call lingered. Conversations turning to futures. What if we split time? Willow suggested one evening. Feet in my lap on the porch swing. East and west. I could paint anywhere. I nodded. But hesitation coiled. And if I take the offer? Lead a team? Build something lasting. She stilled. Eyes searching. Would you want that? Without me? The question pierced. Forcing truths. I want us. But I want to be whole too. Not half of myself. She sighed. A soft release. Leaning in. Then take it. Well, figure us. Trust that. Her words freed. But fear shadowed. The distance we had bridged threatening to widen. Autumn leaves turned. Golds and reds mirroring my turmoil. I accepted the partnership. Conditional on remote starts. Flying east for key meetings. The first trip was brutal. Manhattan's grind reclaiming. Late nights in conference rooms. The loft sublet but echoes of solitude returning. Willow met me midway once. In Chicago for a weekend. Our hotel room a sanctuary. But goodbyes at the airport ached anew. Video calls sustained. Her face pixelated but beloved. Sharing sketches of our imagined home. A cabin somewhere neutral. Mountains perhaps. Yet strain built. Small fissures. A missed anniversary dinner. My flight delayed. Her voice tight with disappointment. I get it. Everly. Work first. Always. The accusation stung. Truth wrapped in pain. Winter approached. Rains lashing the coast. And Clara's birthday passed. A quiet toast with wine and memories. Willow withdrew. Painting obsessively. Canvases dark with isolation. I flew in. Finding her curled on the studio floor. Charcoal smudged on cheeks. What's wrong? I knelt. Arms open. You're slipping away. East calls louder. I held her. Heartbreaking. No. I'm here. But she pulled back. Eyes fierce. Are you? Or is this pity love? The words landed like blows. Dredging insecurities. Pity? Willow. You saved me. From numbness. But she shook her head. Tears falling. Saved? Or distracted? Mom died. And you became my anchor. What if you leave? And am adrift again? The fight raged. Words weapons. Hurts unearthed. My ambition a betrayal. Her dependence a chain. We parted that night. Separate beds. The house a chasm. Morning brought regret. Coffee cold. Her note on the table, need space. Walk the beach. I did. Waves pounding judgment. Sand gritty under feet. Hours later. Returning. She waited. Eyes red but resolute. I love you. But we can't build on grief. Or fear. Truth settled. Heavy but clarifying. You're right. We rushed. Let me go east. Fully. Come when ready. No pressure. She nodded. Relief and sorrow mingling. A month. To breathe. To create. I packed. The drive to the airport solitary. Tears blurring the road. New York welcomed with snow-dusted streets. The loft mine again. Files waiting like old lovers. Work consumed. Partnership demands fierce. But nights were hollow. Willow's absence a void. I walked Central Park. Sketches in pocket. Tracing her lines for solace. Friends noticed. Prodding gently. But I deflected. Diving deeper into cases. Winning a landmark settlement that should have thrilled. Yet rang empty. Spring thawed the city. And with it? A package arrived. Wrapped in brown paper. Her handwriting steady. Inside. A painting. Us on the cliffs. Hands linked. Colors vibrant. Alive. Note attached, finish this. For you. Miss our messy. Call when ready. Heart soared. Fingers dialing before thought. Voicemail. Willow. It's me. Saw the painting. God. It's us. Perfect. Am ready. Are you? Days passed. Silence deafening. Until my phone lit. Her text, yes. Meet in the middle? Denver. Neutral ground. The flight west. Then east. A detour to Rockies. Nerves electric. Denver hummed. Mountains cradling the city. Our hotel boutique and cozy. She waited in the lobby. Hair loose. Smile tentative. And I crossed. Pulling her into embrace. Sense familiar. Tears shared. Everly. She whispered. Home. We talked for hours. Over diner pie and coffee. Laying bare the months. My growth and work. Her solo show success. A grant for travel. Fears voiced. Boundaries set. No rushing. Visits planned. Her east for summers. Me west for winters. A life woven. Not fused. Nights blurred and passion rediscovered. Her body a welcome. Touches reverent. Mornings. We hiked trails. Aspens golden. Hands swinging. Laughter free. Departure loomed. But lighter. Promises solid. At the airport. Kiss lingering. She pressed a small sketch into palm. Our future. Sketch it with me. Back in New York. The drawing taped above desk. Inspiration amid briefs. Calls daily. Plans hatching. A cabin rental in the Sierras for fall. Love felt earned. Deeper for the distance. Summer peaked. And she arrived. Train from the coast. Union Station bustle parting for our reunion. The loft bloomed with her presence. Canvases leaning. Paints dotting counters. We explored. Rooftop bars and jazz clubs. Her wonder at the skyline renewing my gaze. One evening. Ferry to Staten Island. City lights dancing on water. She turned. Eyes serious. Everly. Marry me. Not now. But someday. Build forever. Breath caught. Joy flooding. Yes. Someday. We sealed with kiss. Skyline witness. Hearts aligned. Years folded like well-worn pages. Our life a tapestry of coasts and compromises. Willow's art flourished. Galleries from Seattle to Miami claiming her works. Her name whispered in art circles with reverence. I climbed. Partner to senior. Specializing in pro bono for artists and families. Blending ambition with purpose. Summers in Half Moon Bay. The Victorian ours now. Expanded with a studio wing. Clara's gardens thriving under Willow's care. Winters in the city. Her in the loft. Painting cityscapes that captured the grit and grace. Challenges came. As they must. A miscarriage for her. Early. The loss a quiet grief we navigated with therapy and time. Hands held in waiting rooms turned to healing spaces. My burnout. A case that bled me dry. Her pulling me to the beach. Salt air mending. Through it. Love tempered. Resilient. The proposal came on October Eve. Sierra's cabin rented as promised. Aspens aflame. Fire crackling. Wine warming palms. She knelt. Ring simple. Gold band etched with waves. Everly Thompson. You moved me when I thought I was still. Marry me. Make our messy eternal. Tears blurred. Yes tumbling out. Embrace fierce. Laughter mingling with sobs. Wedding small. Cliffs of Half Moon Bay. Friends from both worlds witnesses. Ocean choir. Vows exchanged at sunset. Her in white linen. Me in soft gray. Words personal. Raw. I promised to see you. Always. As you saw me sleeping. She smiled. Ring sliding home. And I to move with you. Breathless forever. Life post vows deepened. A honey farm bought inland. Weekends tending bees. Her painting hives in golden light. Me drafting wills for neighbors. Travels woven in. Italy's coasts for inspiration. Her sketches filling journals. My stories of ancient laws sparking debates over pasta. Home base shifted. A brownstone in Brooklyn. Space for studio and office. City energy fueling us. Ages crept. Lines etching faces. But beauty amplified. Her freckles sun-kissed. My hair silvering like moonlight. Children came not biological. But chosen. Fostering a girl from the system. Mia. Aiden fierce. Her questions endless. Willow's patience a gift. My structure a steady hand. Mia's art bloomed under willow. Legal dreams under me. Family a triad of colors. Reflections came in quiet. Anniversaries marked with sketches and toasts. One night. Brooklyn rooftop. City humming below. Mia asleep inside. We swayed to phantom music. Her head on my shoulder. Remember that morning? I woke alone. She chuckled. Breath warm. Scared to stay. Thought I'd break you. I pulled closer. You mended me. Left me breathless. Still. Humanity in the ordinary shone. Clara's legacy in community classes Willow taught. Free for kids like Mia once was. My pro bono expanded. Justice for the overlooked. Her art auctions funding scholarships. Love not grand gestures. But daily. A hand on back during dishes. Shared sighs over bedtime stories. Elder years whispered. 60s approaching. Travels slower. Cabin in Sierra's permanent retreat. Mornings on the porch. Coffee steaming. Her sketching my profile. Lines softer now. What do you see? I asked once. Curious. Everything. She replied. Pencil pausing. The woman who chased me across states. Who stayed when it hurt. Who loves without conditions. I took the sketch. Framing it beside the first. Gallery of us. Breathless. Yes. From the start. But now in gratitude. For the move that led here. To this quiet profundity. Life not perfect. But full. Emotions ebbing like tides. Always returning to shore. In her eyes. I found home. The depth of a love that saw. Truly saw. And in seeing. Set free. And so. In the hush of evenings. With stars wheeling above. We sat. Hands entwined. The world a canvas we painted together. Stroke by stroke. Color by color. Until the end. Whenever it came. Found us still moving. Still breathless. Still whole.